She came home and she said she wanted to stay for a while. I said, okay. And she wasn't feeling good. She wanted to go see a doctor. I didn't know there was anything wrong. That's when I found out. She was at home. I was okay. And she had taken some time off work. But she couldn't work anyway.
Because hepatitis is infectious?
Yeah.
What
And
hepatitis did she have? She had B. Did you know any of the ramifications of this?
no,
Did you at this point know she had hepatitis?
I didn't know what was going on. And I thought, God, medication's going to...
Make it better.
No, nothing. And she didn't sleep in the bedroom. She slept on the couch. But I think she knew. We didn't talk about it. And actually, she didn't even say too much about it herself at all. I think she went into a coma in the house. And I called her hospital. I spoke to one of the nurses that she was friendly with, and she said, get her over here. So when they came, I told them, look, all I know is that you got to take her over to Bellevue. And she did come out of the coma that night. And Tommy came, and Vicky and Kevin. And she said, don't worry. That's all.
Were the doctors telling you anything?
Not too much. The head nurse in the emergency room, I said to her, should her father be here? She said, yeah.
So where was Hank?
Egypt.
Well, so he flew home?
He had a little problem. He had no passport with him.
What was his passport?
He didn't carry one with him. He had an old one, which was at home, and he went through a lot to get a passport in Morocco. And because I spoke to the head of his union, and they did everything and anything. They got him here within a couple of days. But she lasted a couple of weeks. She was in and out. She was out of the coma for a couple of days, sitting up in the bed and everything.
And the doctors?
They told us there was nothing they could do.
Really? It had affected her liver?
Yeah. At that time, they were experimenting with animals and liver transplants, okay? And the head of surgery called me in, and he said, look, he said, if they were doing an operation on humans, he said, no matter where it was in the world, she'd go there. They'd do anything for her. Yeah, there was nothing they could do. They even tried it. They inserted, no, Jesus, this day I regret it. Some sort of it looked like a knife, the effect thing into the stomach area or whatever. And I don't know what that meant. They said it was the last resource.
Did she know she was going to die?
Yeah.
She did?
Before she went into the last coma, said it. She said it to me.
Were you able to say goodbye?
I sat there, and I used to go every day. Even when she was in the coma, just talk to her, that's all. I knew she heard me. It was a hard time. And it was a hard time for the family. I was very selfish. I know that now. It took a long time for me to realize that they were just as affected as I was, if not worse.
Did Hank get home before she died?
Oh, yeah.
And how was he taking it?
Never showed his emotions, but I'm sure. But never showed.
Yeah. Where is Manya buried?
She's buried out in St. Raymond's. Her father's there, too. It's out in the Bronx, cemetery out in the Bronx. But
so now how does a mother, you were obviously very close with your daughter, how do you survive that?
I had a friend of Cruz. Her daughter and my daughter were very close. And she said to me, you remember the good times. Which is true. Because my brother smiled to everybody's face, but you trust in God, you keep your faith. And remember, like she said, the good times, the smiles. God would wipe away the tears. Their death did affect the family. I'll be honest with you. You can't find an answer. You say to yourself, why? But there's no answer to the why. No matter who you go to or whatever, there's no answer. You keep on going, and the pain is there, but it eases, and the memories linger on. And you always think of the good times, and just Pray that God will give you the strength to keep going, okay? It does affect families. I know it affected ours. Hank and I grew apart. There was resentment there on both our parts, and like I said, it affected her brothers and sister, and I could never talk to them about her. I've gotten through a few things in my life, but even Hank's death didn't affect me as much as...
So that was the hardest time.
Yeah.